Thank you, Ron. And on 7 January 2003, addressing the Economic Club of Chicago, President George W. Bush said, and I quote, "Low interest rates have allowed Americans to tap the rising value of their homes. In 2002, refinances added more than $100 billion to American pocketbooks, money that helped renovate homes or pay off debt or cover tuition or purchase other goods." End quote. That statement sums up the journey to today's credit crisis. A major Canadian bank's advertising echoes it too. It tells you that you are richer than you think, implying you should borrow against your home's value to buy consumer stuff. A really bad idea. Still, many folks succumb to this enticement and end up deeper in debt. We should discourage, not encourage folks from tapping the rising value of their homes. Your home is not an investment on which you speculate. According to the October 8th Wall Street Journal, nearly 1 in 6 U.S. homeowners owe more on a mortgage than the home is worth. In Canada and the U.S., at about 60% of gross domestic product, consumer spending continues to drive economic growth. Despite savings depletion and unprecedented consumer debt buildup, governments encourage consumers to keep spending, mostly buying stuff they don't need and can't afford. In 1992, Canadians saved about 12% of disposable income. Those savings have evaporated, and Canadians and Americans have been spending more than they earn. Since 1990, Canada's personal debt jumped from 91% to 131% of disposable income. In the US, personal debt has reached 142% of disposable income. Meantime, governments brag about job creation even when those jobs are unsustainable, coming from bad growth. Yes, folks, bad growth, which flows from unsound, unsustainable business models such as those created around subprime lending. Businesses pursuing bad growth will collapse. They are time bombs. Sadly, when these businesses fail, they affect people's lives negatively. And rather than encouraging retraining of affected workers, governments try to keep them afloat, which merely delay the inevitable closures and cause more pain. This is where we are today. We see the US government ignoring the inevitable effects of bad growth. They're pushing consumerism, encouraging consumers to take on more debt while setting a poor example of responsible money problem solving, continuing the same old failed approach of throwing money at perceived problems. Regrettably, governments ad hoc responsive have spread fear, deepening and extending the credit crisis. US and other governments behave as if they don't understand that greed propels Wall Street up and fear drives it down. Thank God for this credit crisis. Thank God for this time out to reflect and see where we went wrong. Pray for wisdom, for God's peace. Cling to Him. Ask Him to show you the way. His way, the only way out. Next time, we look at the subprime effects in Canada. Back to Ron and Ann.